Now, returning to the Middle East now, and the US president has told Iran not to attack Israel. President Biden has said that the US's commitment to Israel's security is ironclad, amid concern that Tehran could strike within days. Well, here with me on set is our military expert, Sean Bell. As you can see, Sean, why are we sort of expecting potentially an Iranian attack? Why did President Biden feel the need to say this?
Yeah, good morning, Wilf. It's odd that we're talking about something that might happen when we don't actually know, but it's worth pointing out last week on Monday, there was an attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria, in Damascus. That killed 13 people, including a top Iranian military commander at the time. Now, Israel had no comment, but everybody expects that's where it came from. This is the site of devastation at the time. Ayatollah Khamenei, the Iranian supreme leader, vowed that there will be some sort of punishment for this attack, but Iran generally operates in a really measured manner. Now, there's lots of Iranian proxies operating around the region, as you know, obviously with Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis. But Israel's attack against the Hamas in Gaza has proved that Hamas is no match militarily. And there's no doubt Iran has been doing a lot to try and provide weapons, to provide training, and also to incite Hezbollah to try and rear up as well. US diplomatic messaging has been trying, as you say, to try and pour a bit of cold water on all this. But it's worth pointing out Iran will want to protect its own reputation amongst its regional allies, therefore probably can't leave this attack unanswered.
So, as you said, there's lots of proxies. There's Iran itself. What do we potentially expect an Iranian attack to be if they did proceed with one?
One of the things, inevitably, they're always speculation, is always very difficult, isn't it? What we have to do is look back historically and see how these things are generally matched. Now, Iran is very measured in its response. It doesn't normally respond very quickly, but it can't leave the attack without consequences. Now, Iran does not want a war with Israel. That's the bottom line of all of this. So what we'd expect to see is Iran targeting a sort of military or a government target with some sort of ballistic missile strike, and potentially providing telephone warning beforehand. The challenge, of course, at the moment is that Israel has made clear that it wants to deal, once it's dealt with Hamas, it wants to deal with Hezbollah. And the danger is that any attack from Iran could be just the trigger that Israel wants to actually step up its war into Hezbollah. That's something that Iranians would not want to see happen either.
And obviously, we were talking recently about Israel pulling out a big portion of its troops, almost all of its troops, from Gaza. Is it in preparation for this sort of threat from Hezbollah or from Iran?
One of the things that was quite strange about that withdrawal is, from a military perspective, you don't take your foot off the throat of the enemy, and in effect, the IDF was putting pressure on Hamas down in Rafah. So it's very odd that they've moved out, and there's all sorts of explanations, could be giving their soldiers a break. But actually, what looks very likely is that actually they could turn their attention north and actually deal with Hezbollah. There's a lot of the Israeli cabinet that actually want to deal with that threat now. Now, the Iranian attack, there's been significant casualties, despite Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu clearly falling out. That's why Biden's come out and said there's a cast-iron security guarantee for Israel. And it's really a question, I think, of what happens with this attack with Iran. If there is a telephone messaging beforehand and it's quite measured, that might moderate reaction. I suspect Iran's strategic imperative here is not to pick a war with Israel. It's probably to continue to develop its nuclear weapons program, which it's developing apace, because once it gets nuclear weapons, it has the ultimate strategic deterrent, not only against Israel, but also against the US.